are kicking off from solo to synergy. How do you go from being in survival mode, which, listen, survival mode is okay as long as it's temporary and explainable, okay? It can only be survival mode temporarily, and it's got to be explainable. It's a season and a reason, but it's not for life. After being in survival mode comes being comfortable. Now you can pay your bills and you can decide, am I going to just have a lifestyle business or am I going to go for growth? And today we're going to talk about those of us that are in that comfortable, not so comfortable, maybe stagnant, frustrated plateau place where we want to grow, we want to scale up. And the third level in business is ultimate. Like just building the business like you want it because you want it. Building that extraordinary life, going for the ultimate because why not? Life is supposed to be lived and it's going to be fun. You guys have said that you are here to learn from Allison Larson about effective prospecting, positivity, new ideas, how to grow and elevate your business, have the 10X vision. Yes, thank you, Ellie. How to do cost-effective prospecting, get your business to be systematized, ensure that you're using your time effectively, staying fresh, and all so much good stuff. Being a millennial mom. Yes, thank you, Jackie, because that is who you are, Allison. You were pregnant with your second baby and you crush and kick ass. I think last month you closed 8 million. How much you closing this month, Allison?
There we go. Sorry, I cut out for, say that again, Sheila.
You closed 8 million in volume last month. What do you got going this month?
About the same. I think a little more than that. So.
Okay. For all of you that were at the Slay with Shay Ella retreat last week, Allison does not need any introduction because she was actually ranked the #1 speaker out of the 10 or 12 of us. Allison, you ranked #1. I think your story is relatable. Your teaching style is very practical and systematic, and you're just so damn lovable on top of it. And you've built a business recently. We're not talking about old success. We're not talking about the person on stage who was like 20 years ago, this is what I did. Like you have built and maintained a business over 50 million a year while also having a millennial mindset and not working a bazillion hours. And last year did over $50 million in business with just one teammate. So the floor is yours. Take it away. Thank you everybody for being here. Let's kick some ass.
I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Did it work? Can you see it?
Yes, I can, girl.
Can you still see it? Yes. Okay. So if you're not following me on Instagram, please go follow me on Instagram. Also, if you ever need video ideas, we post everything to YouTube. Go copy them. I don't really care. We post tons and tons of content there. You'll see there's some bad videos. There's some good videos. We've definitely gotten better at them. We are not hiring and spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a videographer either. Most of them are in my house. Most of them are in my basement, on iPhone. If we even have a microphone, that is outstanding for us actually. So, I had shared at the retreat that whenever I'm sitting in someone's seat, half the time I have a hard time listening because I'm just looking up their volume, trying to figure out if this person is legit and I should actually be copying what they're doing or not. And so here is my stats. I actually included, this is our snippet of our year-end P&L. So you can see actual units, volume, production mix, all of that. One time I had this amazing call with this woman. She's like, I did 300 million last year. And then afterwards it was like, wait, her average loan amount's 2.5 million. This isn't as exciting. That's not even my market. So it's just helpful to put it in context. Shannon is my team lead. She's our full-time staff member. And then Jill helps us part-time with marketing, things like that. We now have grown a little bit since we've joined Guild, which is so exciting because when you talk about reason, season, not for a lifetime, I feel like we right now are trying to change it up for a different reason. We've got really big growth goals again and trying to figure out how we're going to get there. And so we're getting to experience all of the growth pains again, which maybe is kind of sick. I think it's really fun to have something to voice memo Shayla go, how do I do this? And how do we do that?
Let me just tell everybody the topic from this morning's call. She's like, okay, I need like a processing mentor because I got this phenomenal processor, but I could tell she's working 12 hours a day. And, you know, and I'm like, oh, I love this. I said, how long has she been with us at Guild? You're like 30 days. How many loans are in her pipeline? 36. And I'm going,
Yeah, you're like, that's why. And I, in my head, was like, do we not train her well? I don't, I don't know.
So part of scaling up actually is learning how to be a business person and making sure we don't burn people out along the way, and understanding like what are performing metrics for both longevity, sustainability, where people feel like they're winning, but also that work for the business. Because if you have somebody doing 8 loans a month and they're killing it, the customer service is amazing, great, but then your business isn't profitable and you can't reinvest into your growth, right? If you have somebody who's like a killer crusher doing 40 loans a month and then they're the biggest beast, best ever, well, what happens when that one person exits your business? They get sick, something happens in their family, they get burned out. Now your whole business was on one person. That's not a business. So these are the kinds of conversations that Allison and I love, and why she's like boom, 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 and asking a lot of stuff and learning with you, and why I wanted to expose you to Allison, because she's in the weeds and she's doing it, and she's going for that 10x vision. So take it away from there. Tell us about these beautiful people.
I said to someone yesterday, they're probably on this call, but they were asking about the move to Guild and how everything is. And I didn't dislike my old company. I didn't. I loved the people I worked with. All of that was great. And I said, I felt like I was running a marathon, but I was all by myself. There was no one else at the start line or the finish line. And I'd have to like peek over a couple streets to see if anyone was running alongside of me and be like, oh, they're doing it way over there. Maybe I can try and do it too. And now I feel like I'm running a relay, and every turning point, someone's handing me a baton and cheering and going, okay, now just take this from here to here and go, 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 go. And it's night and day difference of what you can accomplish when you have people cheering for you and feeding you energy on a Monday and all of that. I shared this at the retreat a little bit about my history and life story. And it's funny, I have a hard time sometimes sharing about how I grew up or where I came from, but I do it because I want people to realize in this moment that there's nothing special or different about me that's not something you can go accomplish too. I'm not a trust fund baby. My parents didn't build me a book of business. There is nothing like that. And so not to be a martyr to share any of this, and so I was trying to think of how can I like quickly share a snippet of my childhood without being a martyr and making it sound terrible and awful. And so I was working out one morning, and literally the Shop with the Cop program was on the news. And I was like, oh, I was a Shop with a Cop kid. Shop with a Cop is a program for parents who can't afford Christmas presents. And we qualified for that program when I was younger. Literally, they take you to the local Walmart or whatever with a police officer, and the police department pays for your Christmas presents, and they put it on the news as a feel good thing so that people donate more money to the program. So I was one of those kids. We were in a women's shelter for financial safety and security. I didn't grow up with anything really. And then slowly through my life have figured out and how to be really strategic and really just intentional to be able to get ahead and truly design this life. It was a few years ago, I sat with the social media coach who was like, your life looks too polished and too put together, and we need to see the real you. I was like, no, this is it. Like I built this. I'm really proud of it. This is what you see is what you get. And we've worked really hard for it. My husband, Lane, I've got 2 bonus kids, 4th grade and 2nd grade. I'm pregnant. I'm 22 weeks pregnant. And then my little guy, Sawyer, is 10 months old. Not only were we busy building a business with very little staff, I also went through 6 rounds of IUI and 3 rounds of IVF to get my sweet little Sawyer. So I've been really busy with that too. It's very near and dear to my heart. And what I love about sharing that is there's always a couple of people who will DM me or send me a note after the fact who are going through it, need some support and encouragement, anything like that. My favorite picture in this whole thing though, this picture with my husband, he is horrified that I share this. When Sawyer was first born and he was nursing, he would latch on, if I wasn't there, he would try and latch onto my husband's nose to nurse because it seemed the same to him, and my husband would just let it happen because he didn't really have any other choices. But so we've totally created and designed this, and I'm incredibly proud of it. What's fun is my husband didn't grow up the exact same as me, but in a similar upbringing. So he feels very humbled and proud of all the things we are able to build together. I can already see a couple of people chiming in on the IVF journey. It is a real heavy weighted thing to go through. But jumping into the meat of it, The biggest aha after speaking at the conference last week was everyone is doing the same things and having the exact same struggles. Everyone is reaching out to the same perfectly curated content person on Instagram, messaging them for coffee, sitting down with them, spending every other week going to lunches and breakfasts and open houses and all of this stuff and not converting any of their business. And so what I really want to dig into is how we've been really strategic with, I love it when Shayla talks about, hey girl selling. That was the first thing that opened my eyes probably 3 years ago on a podcast she did when she was still in Spain. And she talks about people, hey girl selling, meaning they're just showing up places, trying to make friends and trying to be likable and chameleon selling instead of showing up, standing in our power and being a true business professional. And not everyone wants that, right? Not every realtor wants that. Not every realtor really is going to refer you 80% of their clients or 50% of their clients. Some realtors just aren't wired that way, and that's okay too. And so, where we've really seen a lot of success is being really strategic on the people we are meeting with. And I always like to clarify, I don't believe that just DMing girls on Instagram and carrying on conversations with them like your long lost pen pals for years, that is not going to get you business, guys. You have to get belly to belly with these people, follow up with them, have true business conversations, and really keep pushing the envelope. And I think the personal connection kind of comes after that. No different than if you went on a first date, you wouldn't sit down with someone and leave immediately deciding if you're soulmates. You'd sit down with them and you get to know them, their values, who they are as a person, and then you build on it from there. I included here 2 snapshots of realtors I've worked with or we work really closely with. Paige, you can see we've done almost 80% of her buy side transactions last year. This agent does more luxury side stuff, so she does get a lot of cash buyers, and we did almost 40% of her buy side transactions. Renee Rodriguez puts it out there in the world that you best serve those who you once were or who you're aligned with. So I dig really deep to find agents who were in the same similar life path, life journey, agents who have gone through fertility struggle, agents who have young moms. For me, it's almost all women right now. At the end of last year, we hosted a holiday networking realtor lunch and learn kind of event. And I literally stood in front of a room of 50 agents and was like, I'm just gonna be honest, it's like my no bullshit era right now. I don't have time to do all of the millions of happy hours and sponsor a golf hole for a chamber event or anything like that. We're trying to get really deep with our agents who are also just trying to get a lot done, hammer through it. And if that's what you're looking for right now, we're a really good fit to work together. And what was really cool is there was like 3 or 4 agents who were like, I wouldn't have known that about you. And I feel the same way. I don't want someone to call me and make small talk on a Monday morning. It's just really finding the people who are looking for the exact same thing you're looking for. And those people might change from year to year. And so being really honest with yourself as well on when is the last time this person sent me a deal? And am I really still their number one referral partner, or did they have kids and they're actually they're a stay-at-home mom now and they're not even selling real estate? I think we maybe lost Shayla on here. But
I'm trying to get back on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Keep going. You're rolling.
Okay. In terms of mindset, I think this is the other big thing. We eliminate ourselves before we even walk in the room. I again shared last week at the end of it. I was scared to death to speak last week, not because I'm scared to speak in front of people, but because I was like, gosh, do I really deserve to be here amongst these people who have 40 million in net worth and have made $5 million in a year? Brett Baird had a $42 million month once. I was like, how did I get a spot on this stage? And honestly, in my head was like, that was really nice of Shayla to let me try. That's what I was thinking. But we do the same things to ourselves when we go meet with realtors. We make ourselves this big. So 90% of our thoughts are the exact same every single day. That's just how the human brain works. 80% of them are negative. We have to find how do we align ourselves with 20% of thoughts so that before we even show up to a meeting, we're on our A game. For me, that starts for me the night before. Like today, I knew what I was going to wear last night. I knew today I had to wash my hair. I knew I had my snacks packed for the day. I'm pregnant. I get hungry all the time. I have my water ready to go. Everything is just grab and go so that everything is aligned for success that next day. Right before this, I got a phone call from a realtor. I can already tell you that they're calling me to complain about something. I'm not picking up the phone. I'll call them back after. The last thing we need before we walk into any meeting where we need to be our best selves is for someone to tell us that we suck right before we get on the call, or that a loan is falling apart, or that one deal that means the world to you is canceling because of inspection. We don't need that energy. Just don't answer the phone. Same thing with emails. You don't have to check your email every 15 minutes. But the time you leave your coffee meeting, the only thing you should be doing is listening to your favorite song or your favorite podcast that puts you in the right mindset, and nothing else. Literally nothing else. You don't need to check your email. You don't need to know someone went with Rocket Mortgage instead of you. You just don't. You need to walk in there so sure of yourself and practice. What are you going to say when you close to this person? Who are you going to meet with? How often do we show up to a coffee meeting and we're sitting there scrambling, trying to remember what they look like before they get there?
Yeah, not good.
Not good. We should know everything about them before we even walk in the door. If you weren't at the conference last week, feel free to put in the chat. I'm not going to go through the whole core of the meeting all over again today, but feel free to put into the chat and then we can get you guys a recording if you missed it. It was virtual, or maybe you there in person. I bet a lot of you were there in person. But the meeting is really where we just get started, right? We've all had a great realtor meeting 500 times and everyone responds and says, yeah, I'd love to work with you. This was so great. I hate my lender and you're my new person. Let's be best friends. And then they literally never respond to us again. And probably because we didn't follow up, we didn't build a genuine connection after the fact, or it got weird because how many times am I going to follow up with them before they send me something? This is what our follow-up looks like. We used to have this like 20-step follow-up plan. Actually, it is our follow-up plan still, but the only steps I actually do are these. So I'm just going to be honest. This is what our actual follow-up plan looks like. You could definitely beef it up and make it even better. But first things first, as soon at the end of the day, I write all my handwritten thank yous to anyone I saw in person that day. They go in the mail. I literally get home after dinner. I quick write them out. I put them on my back counter, and I know my husband will put them in the mail for me, but that is our system. I do them right away. It makes me feel good. I get stationery I like. That's how I just am wired. I'm a podcast person. So for me, it is very genuine and authentic for me to send someone a podcast. I typically will text them and be like, hey, if you don't have my number, make sure you have my number saved. Also, do you use Spotify or podcast app, or what do you use? And they'll tell you, and then I send it to them on that platform. I just send them a copy link of a podcast. And what podcast do I send? It totally depends, because I'm always listening to something. There's always something to share. A flip book, you can create these for free online. A lot of realtors have never seen a flip book, and you send one to them and they think you're literally a marketing genius. We started using flip books because everything costs money. Postage is expensive. Printing off brochures is expensive. And we were continually like getting rid of staff and moving things, and I couldn't afford to keep printing the brochures. So I'm like, we're going to send a PDF flip book. People think it is the fanciest, coolest thing that ever existed, and it's totally free. We make them in Canva and just upload them. And then inviting them to something. I'm going to talk a little bit about events. Realtors are hurting no different than we've all felt like we've been hurting a little bit, right? And so if we're calling them every single Monday, for example, if 4 years ago, Shayla would have called me every single Monday and been like, how many loans did you close last week? What are your goals for the year? How many leads did you get? I would have been intimidated as heck. I would have not answered the phone. I would have started dodging her because I would have thought she's playing at a different level. I don't want to waste this person's time. And instead of telling her that, I would have just ghosted. I think that's what our realtors do. They ghost us because what else? They're too insecure. They're not going to say, I actually don't have any business, but I'd love to send you someone. No, they say, oh gosh, all my buyers are pre-approved already before I got them. No, they're not. They don't have any buyers. That's okay. We have to create spaces where we can continue the conversation. So when the buyer comes, they're so excited and proud to turn them over to us. And then we send a YouTube channel. We have we just sorted them into channels. Everyone's got tons of videos they've done on Instagram and everything else. Upload them to your YouTube channel, sort them into categories. And so we have a certain channel that we send as a follow-up email to our realtors. Do I think they go watch them? No. But what I say is, hey, thinking of you, if you have any first-time buyers who aren't quite ready, but just need additional resources, would you share this with them? It's just an easy touch point. Also, do you have any that just got stale that you want me to follow up with and share some educational stuff? Easy. That doesn't mean, that's not calling them and saying, did you work or did you play? Do you have any people you met this weekend that you want to send me? That doesn't work. That makes people feel so icky and cringe. I do, and for reference, I do think it worked at one point. I just don't think it's how our business is set up now.
Well, I will tell you, I got coached with a lot of those scripts you're referring to, and started launching in 2011. And what had happened previous to that was there was so much business that nobody was paying attention to anybody. So if you were somebody that had a coffee appointment, was confident in yourself to say, I want to work with you, and you gave good positive energy and you put yourself out there to be a friend to somebody, and then you just simply followed up, you did business. And so those scripts did work at the time. But what's interesting is that now so many people have been through that coaching methodology for more than a decade, and it's stale. What I love about what you said at the retreat, you guys will get to watch that recording because it was so good, is that you really say, how would I like to be followed up on? I think that you're just truly a learner, Allison, and you're always studying your human experience and everything that you do. And I watch you do it as you live your life. Like you go to a good restaurant, or you like something aesthetic or whatever, and you're like, ooh, this is how this made me feel. How do I duplicate that in other people? And so please watch that recording, because one thing that was the big aha for me in your first talk and what you're talking about now is, how would I want to be followed up on? Who are the people that make me feel good? When somebody sends me something random, what does it make me feel like? And that is where you cut the noise of the AI. Also, by the way, Allison, when we started doing that in 2011, we weren't on social media. We weren't doing videos. People weren't bombarded with 18 different inboxes. I had one inbox. I was not sending text messages or memes or whatever. So a lot of those old school tactics worked because they weren't getting bombarded with all this other stuff. Now you've actually got to be more thoughtful and make it feel like organic and real, not just like I just dropped 30 people in the same chat bot that's going to send a text that doesn't feel organic. And I think you do a damn good job with that, Allison.
So one thing I do, so anyone who was at the retreat or is listening to the recordings or anything like that, my biggest recommendation is this: take everything you learned, every script you heard from someone, and put it on the left side of the paper that you should be adding to your business. And then on the right side, make it your own. Make it your own script. I can't say the things Shayla says exactly, because I won't say them because it sounds clunky and weird when it comes out of my mouth, but I can create my own script that I can say every single time. All of this stuff, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be me. There are tons of people out there who I probably annoy the heck out of, and realtors who don't like me. Maybe they're your realtors. That's perfect, right? That's how it goes. And you just have to be totally okay with it. For example, and look at other industries, and when you see something that really resonates with you, think of how you can flip it for a consumer experience in your business. The YouTube channel, when I was going through IVF, I met this amazing acupuncturist, and she gave me a link to her YouTube channel. When you're scared and you've already Googled everything on the internet, and some woman that you like and trust gives you access to quick 1-minute videos where you can educate yourself, I hours on her YouTube channel, and then I built mine because of that. And then I sent her a link. I was like, thank you so much. I just built this all because of you. I mean, I was eating the core of a pineapple and only warm food. So I ate soup every day for lunch for 6 months because a Chinese medicine doctor told me I needed to. And this woman in a minute video explains why that's not true. That's how our clients feel. We sit down with them and we use trigger words like click here, apply now, conditional approval, points. They have no idea what any of it means, but we don't ever stop to put ourselves in their shoes, Or if they complain and they say, well, I didn't understand, you're like, well, I don't know what's wrong with them. That doesn't work.
I got to say something else, that this is important to connect the dots on why we're talking about this, is that when you're meeting with a business partner and they see that you're thoughtful and you get it and you think like this, and this is the way they're going to treat their customer, you're immediately attractive. Number one. Number two, Katie Poyser said this at our VIP dinner up at Tahoe. She said, I realize that most of the time, the reason somebody doesn't move forward is not because they don't want to buy a house. It's that they just can't get their head around the financing. Like truly, we are, for that real estate agent, a huge part of whether or not they get paid. Mm-hmm. And the way she phrased that in her own words to say, hey, it occurs to me that one of the big stumbling blocks to you getting paid and having a successful transaction is whether or not that family can wrap their head around, can I do this? Can I get the financing to work? Does it make sense to me? Is it overwhelming, or do I feel like I can do it? And when she said it to me that way, all of a sudden the realtor's like, okay, well, tell me then how you do that. How do you get a client to feel comfortable, to feel safe, to feel empowered with their financing options, to go, oh, I can do this. Now, like they're coming to you to ask about your process versus you being a pitch person pitching it. So anyway, I think this is really valuable to say, how are you doing 50, 60 million in this market right now? And it's because of that thoughtfulness.
And I think when you have something that's passionate to you or that is near and dear to your heart, people are sometimes scared to share it. I sometimes am. I didn't share with people I was going through the IVF struggles until I was announcing my pregnancy, because it's scary and it's a lot and it's emotionally overwhelming. And people do care. Like people like people. People don't do business with a business. They do business with a professional. I bought a pair of shoes the other week, and I had already ordered them online, but I wanted to try them on in person. So I popped in Nordstrom. I worked at Nordstrom in college, so I know they're all 100% commission. The guy spent some time with me. He was very sweet. The shoes I had already ordered online were correct. And I was like, you know what? They don't need my business. It doesn't matter. I ordered them online. I'll return them if you can get them shipped to my house in the next 48 hours so that you can get the sale. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yes, I am, because you're a professional that I want to do business with. I don't care if Nordstrom online gets the sale. What do I care? And so that's how our clients feel too, but we have to show them a little bit of us and who we are and what we care about. And we have to care a little bit about them too. I mean, like you've talked about it before with the all about you form. Digging in with a client, it's the same thing as digging in with a realtor. Instead of just asking them for business all the time, give a shit about them, right? Like if they post about their kids, message back and go, oh my gosh, we're struggling with that too. Or what flag football league are you in? Or, hey, wait, what school uniform is that? We've got the same ones. Do you have to go to Donaldson's too? Donaldson sucks. It sucks the life out of me. But whatever it is, that's how we build a genuine relationship. And it takes time. We're not going to sit down for an hour and leave and be genuine best friends. It takes time to build a true relationship. And then when you get there, they care about you too, and they are happy to send you business. One big takeaway I had from, and we're going to go a little off and talk about events, but one big takeaway I had from the retreat was, okay, so we meet with these people. We're supposed to stay in front of them. How do we stay in front of them? Events. Events is the easiest way to stay in front of people, because you're onesie, twosie agents. First of all, a lot of agents are onesie, twosie agents. Your stat about the agents in Reno, did you say 14 of them do 85% of the listings?
11. So if you go look at your stats, 75% of the listings in our market get done by 11 agents.
So most agents people are calling on are going to be onesie, twosie people. That's just the world we live in. And that's okay. But if I don't have the capacity, if I have to have way more agent relationships, do the same amount of business, I don't have capacity to have coffee with all of these people once a month. And they probably don't want to have coffee with you once a month. That feels weird. So to invite them to something that they can be part of a larger purpose, they can learn, they can better themselves, feels great. When I was following all of the scripts and things everyone's learned in these coaching programs. They tell you to have lunch and learns once a month and do it at your office and bring in a nice lunch and make whatever. That's great when people have budget for those things. We didn't have any budget, right? Like I was stressed about how I was going to pay for coffee for a realtor, let alone like, oh, now I'm going to invite them to an event. And oh, by the way, it's just me. So what if only one realtor shows up? Because I actually only have one realtor, right? Those are the struggles that we all are in right now. In our branch, what we actually do is we collectively host an event. So I host an event, everyone else gets access to it too. It builds momentum, it makes it fun. Hey, heck, it makes me look better that I've got these other people selling too, and they've got all these other realtors. It makes it feel like every realtor in town is there. How do we miss out? But we still keep costs as low as possible. Easy things to do. You guys, most coffee shops, or if you think through a large coffee shop, a lot of them have a back room. Most book for free. Most libraries have conference rooms that are completely free. Places have free spaces. Our key is finding a free space that also lets us bring in our own food. So we'll do 2 nicer events a year that we spend a little bit more money on. And actually, that just was in the last 2 years. Before that, even our client event, we'd only host places we could bring in our own food. Because why? Because you can go to Costco and you can get all of the things you need, pre-made, everything for you. I used to make my own charcuterie before the event so that it felt nice. So we'd cut it all up the night before. It'd be like a little team activity and we'd bring it. People don't care. They just want it to feel like a good experience. And the other thing for realtors, they're equally as intimidated to come to your event. They are scared to walk into a room of people they don't know. So if you see an agent in their office is coming to the event, call them and say, hey, FYI, Paige Gibson, who I know you've met 10 times, is coming to the event. You should come. And oh, by the way, bring a friend. We all get scared to do that. It's not, that feels way more comfortable to them than it does any other way. I recently got invited. One of my top agents, Paige, was speaking at a realtor panel for a KW office on planning events. We do 80% of her buy-side transactions. She's one of my best friends. And we are a really big producer in town. I was so intimidated to walk into the room because I wasn't supposed to be there. I'm a lender. I'm not a realtor. I don't know. Are they going to be annoyed that I'm there? Do they feel weird that they're feeding me lunch and I didn't pay? And no one thought that. Everyone was so excited I was there. They had me chime in and help explain how Paige runs her events and all this stuff. But even I felt that. How do these onesie twosie agents feel showing up to our events? So being really, really intentional on that. And don't break the bank. Sometimes you do have events where only 3 people are going to show up. So I plan everything to be okay if only 3 people show up.
I'd like to add something here that, when I got coached and they said, hold happy hours. First of all, I don't hardly drink and definitely not during the week. So that was already like, huh? Second of all, I'm a high D personality. So I'm thinking, why would I want to go hang out with my competitors? If I'm a realtor, do I want to go on a weekday when I'm already spending not enough time pursuing hobbies or rest and relaxation or anything else? Why do I want to hang out with my competitors? So I'm a good coaching student though. And I said, I'm just going to do the thing because my results, my efforts, my line of thinking, my beliefs had gotten me to a place where I was stagnant. And the reason I decided to be coached was to scale, to break through that barrier. And this was one of the mindset shifts I had to make. So here's what I learned, you guys. Realtors need to be friends with each other to get deals done. There's always 2 agents on every single deal. Number 1. Number 2, most of them are high eyes on the disc profile, meaning that they are talkative social butterflies. If you looked at all of them, I'd say 85% of realtors, their highest personality type is an I. They're influencers, they're social, they're networkers. They work out of their car. They make friends with people everywhere. That's what they have to do, right? Number 3, now more than ever. So maybe you've stopped having happy hours because of COVID and budget reasons or whatever. Now more than ever, if realtors are going to protect each other's commissions, then they've got to be friends with each other. Because if your seller's agent is representing that seller and they go, I don't want to pay them, and they don't know the other agent, are they really going to fight for them? Or do you fight for your friends and the people that you know? If you're multiple offers, because we have lack of inventory, but you've known this agent and you know how they work and you've met them socially and professionally, that agent is going to win. So this is a fresh slate. For many of you, today needs to be the day that you decide that you are going to scale up. Today needs to be the day that you say, I'm going to keep following these girls, but I'm not going to just watch from afar and go to Allison's YouTube and see what she does. I'm going to take action. She's done these 3 videos that I really like and resonate with me. I'm going to go do those 3 videos in my own voice. We are doing these trainings for free because we want more people to have this kind of result and success. It fuels us. It turns us on. And by the way, when you put yourself out there to teach, you're forced to walk the walk, right? So with a happy hour, if you've not been doing them, now is a good time to start, because you can use the NAR settlement to say, hey, what I've realized in today's environment is that more than ever, realtors need to be friends with each other, to fight for each other, to collaborate, to communicate on another level, to protect each other's paycheck. I want to be the person that creates the environment of bringing positive, like-minded, hungry, awesome people together. All you got to do is show up. You can have a glass of water, or you can drink a whole bottle of wine. I don't know what kind of day you're going to have or what you need. If you can come for 30 minutes or you can stay for 2 hours, I just want to have some social time and I want to foster connection, relationship. Would you please come and support me? I don't want to be drinking alone. So use a little guilt, use a little humor.
Thanks on that, Shayla. You can make it like you said, I don't really drink during the week, blah, 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 blah. Neither do I. And also I'm pregnant, right? So what does happy hour look like for me? If you are working with people who are like you don't have to overthink it. Last time we hosted a happy hour event, we did it at, I think it started at 1:30. I was like, everyone else has to pick up their kids from school too. We're having 1:30 to 3:30 happy hour. These realtors were ready for happy hour. Like we've never had a bigger turnout doing it. And by the way, we got a deal because that restaurant isn't even open during that time. So they were so excited that someone wanted to come in for early happy hour. And we called around until we found someone who wanted to give us a deal. Those, like you can, if you wouldn't want to sit there from 5 to 7 and that's not who you're selling to, then find a time that does work. Also with any events, whether it's a lunch and learn or anything else, leave the time for the social interaction. If we say our event, if we're going to do a lunch and learn and it's 12, it starts at 12, we say it goes till 2 o'clock. And then we put in there, speaking starts at 12:15. Speaking will be wrapped by 1 o'clock, 1 to 2 o'clock social. The agent who doesn't want to socialize can leave. Almost everyone stays till the very end and is like helping my team clean up because now they feel bad that they lingered and we got to get out of this space. And last time it was folding chairs. We had to get our own folding chairs because who knows. And so everyone was like grabbing their own chair and packing it up into Jill's truck, right? Because they wanted to stay and linger. That's really what they're going there for, is that social time. The content is added. Someone else said, what info are you covering at your events? The beginning of the year, we used to start this event calendar. We've all been coached to make a marketing calendar and just stick to it. And then by the time the event would come, the content felt stale. So I don't do it that way anymore. We have X amount of events we have to host, and then we pick the topic that's most relevant the month ahead of time and stick with that. So most recently, it was the NAR settlement. Before that, it was on branding. Every realtor wants to know about branding and social media. Everyone's overwhelmed by it. Everyone's intimidated by it. There are tons of people in your market who will come speak at your events for free. You don't have to be a professional speaker and make yourself the expert or anything like that. You can find someone to come speak at your event for free. Invite an appraiser to come in. Realtors love to ask appraisers questions. It's the easiest thing. In the in-between, if we're not doing an in-person event, or if I have something where I'm like, I feel like we have to get this messaging out, but I don't know if it's going to hit, like appraisal gap strategy. I already know 50 realtors aren't showing up for that one. We do it virtually. And then any person in our thing is going to get a recording of the event I hosted that just says, hey, in case you missed it, here's my appraisal gap strategy. By the way, that list of people is 709 realtors. They would have never come to my event to begin with. And now they have a 20-minute video of me. Maybe they watch it, maybe they don't. Either way, they see my name and they know I'm truly being an expert on those different topics. I think a lot of times we show up to a coffee meeting and we try and throw up on the realtor to let them know we're the expert. They need to figure it out for themselves. If Shayla would have just on our first call told me how great she is, I would have been really weirded out and thrown off. But instead, we are humans who find our own information and we validate it. I find her on podcasts, I find her on videos. Watch what she's doing and I can see she's the expert. I don't have to ask her if she's the expert. And we need to do the same thing for our realtors. So hosting events and talking for 2 minutes at the beginning and 2 minutes at the end, that's really all you have to do. You put together this top caliber person to show up and teach them. Now they assume that's the caliber that you're playing at.
So what I heard is a couple things. First of all, when you go to networking events, if you're in a BNI or you go to young professionals networking or whatever, you're looking for interesting people in all different things: a social media coach, a branding coach, a life coach, a trust and estate attorney, a divorce attorney. Maybe not to do direct business with them, but to feature their business as a speaker. Like, hey, I put on an event 6 times a year and I feature local businesses and speakers that have interesting topics that help realtors thrive in their business. Would you be a speaker? They'll do it for free. You're helping grow their business. So that's a thing for networking of how you connect the dots. Second thing I didn't mention on happy hours, now that we're also talking about cost effective, is host them at a wine store. That's where I've had mine many, many years. You go buy retail price wine at a store, not at a restaurant. So a bottle of wine in a wine store might be $18. On the menu at a restaurant, it's $52 because of, that's how they mark them up. So I go buy a bottle of red, a bottle of white, a big bottle of Pellegrino or 3 Pellegrinos I bring in, and I bring in at the wine store my own charcuterie tray that I just picked up at Rayleigh's at the grocery store. So like, what did that cost? Like nothing. The wine store generally has tables outside or a little tall boy at the top back or whatever. And you've brought customers into their store, and I just serve the wine myself. I open a white, I open a red, and people come in. You want a white, you want a red, you want sparkling water. What do you want? And then people just, it's really friendly and low key. And it's, you're not sitting in a table where you're fixed and now you're like, well, how am I going to talk to that person and that person? But yes, get back to doing happy hours. They are really easy to do right now. The other thing I want to plug, because I know I have a lot of you retreat people on this call, and several of you that are going to start coaching with me come July and my new Catalyst coaching program that we've not even really released yet. So spoiler alert, but I gave everybody these role play cards with Phil Jones. Phil Jones wrote the book, Exactly What to Say. He's a scripting genius for how do you keep conversations not weird? How do you do curious discovery? How do you keep it soft and light? And all of a sudden people are sharing their whole lives with you. I think what I've taken away most, Allison, is you make people feel comfortable. It'd be really easy to look at you online and your branding is tight. You're like you said, you look like this perfect family and blah, 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 but you become really approachable. The way you invite people, the way you follow up with them, the stories that you share, really, that's what Phil Jones does in teaching scripting. Well, this role play game is for realtors that helps them say, here's an objection and here's the magic words that you could ask the question in such a way that keeps it curious and allows them to expand. And now all of a sudden that objection is not scary. So for all of you that have this box of cards, I called Phil Jones and asked him personally if he would lead a role play session for all of my people with a room full of realtors. Okay. So just like you're going to be at a networking event and you're going to meet a appraiser, you're going to meet a branding person, you ask them to be a speaker. I just did that for Phil Jones. My hope is that I've got 100 loan officers that are hosting, mini lunch and learn with 1 to 12 agents, and they let Phil be the expert, teach the thing, and you're sitting there role playing with them and learning how to use these cards and having a magical experience. And again, Allison, the thing is, book it for 90 minutes, but Phil's only going for 60. So once Phil's done, now you get to play at a deeper level. You get to ask for the next meeting. So one of your follow-up, Allison, is that you said, where do you look for news media or podcasts, like things that are fresh to send people? Because I think it's another one of your brilliant things is sales is about keeping people on the tracks and down the road. And you're really good about not saying, well, do you have any deals for me? You got any pre-approvals? You got any deals? You got any leads? So where do you find those resources and how do you do follow up?
So yeah, so one of the things I've found makes me very comfortable calling someone is if I have a tidbit of information for them. So instead of just calling with no purpose, I always have a weekly, this is what I'm talking about. So you talked about at the conference, you said something about the way money is inflating and your payment's always going to be here and we watch inflation. Everyone I'm talking to, that's a conversation I'm having. Like, this is so interesting to me, blah, blah, blah. And it just gets the conversation going about you're being a professional, everything else. And instantly, I don't have to tell them I'm the expert. They're like, I don't even know what she's talking about, but she seems like she really has got it figured out, right? It's finding those things. You guys, social media, everywhere you turn, there is someone who's making millions of dollars a year posting videos on Instagram of what's going on in the economy, what's going on in the market. Follow these people. And when you see something, don't just go repeat it or share it with no context on the internet. Understand what they're saying. Do 5 minutes of research. There's your talking point for the entire week. If you are not following real estate coaching podcasts, you're missing out. All of these agents know who these people are. And Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry has like a 10-minute podcast that he does every Monday or something. It's Monday Mindset. I listen to it on Mondays on my way to the office. There is my conversation for my Monday calls. And it took me 10 minutes and I'm literally repeating it. And I don't say it like it's my own thing. I just say, oh my gosh, I just heard this thing this morning. I was listening to it. It made me think of you because of XYZ. Do you want me to send it to you? You know what you could do with it is you could do this and this and this with it. If I see a realtor do something really cool, I screenshot it and I send it to a few of my top people because I want them to know I'm playing in this game with you. If they have an awesome cover letter on an offer that I see sent in, I send it to my top people because I want them to know. I don't send it to everyone. I don't send it in a bulk email. I want them to know I'm trying to help you. I'm playing in it with you. Those are the little things that I think we instantly separate ourselves as the expert by doing those things and by not taking too long to execute. Appraisal gap strategy. As soon as spring market started getting busy again and I saw someone have to write an appraisal gap, I'm like, I got to do a Zoom webinar on it. I got to be the expert on appraisal gap strategy. Those are the types of things that keep people coming to us. If you have already seen 50 people in your market post about Fannie Freddie guideline changes, you're good. You don't need to post about it again. It's obvious you just copied the person in front of you. Think about what's next and implement that.
I love it. One thing that everybody can do is not only follow you on Instagram, Allison, and watch what you're doing and continue to show up for these calls because we've got 2 more in this segment. And I want you to talk about what you want to cover next week. But also you have a broadcast channel. And I have loved following your broadcast channel because you post promotions of your events. So I get to see how you are framing, meaning how you're explaining or pitching or promoting an event. And that is just the brilliance of like, obviously, Allison, you're somebody that just says, I want to find people that I really resonate with that have lifestyles like me. They have young kids at home, so they're not calling me at 6 o'clock at dinner time. Like, I'm not having to explain myself and pretend like I work 12 hours a day because I don't. So I find my tribe, like just like building a friend, find somebody that you have a spark with, realize that they might not have business for you tomorrow, but be that person that's fun to interact with that really cares. And you don't need that many of them to do business with. Now, you said over the years, and you've been at this for how long as an originator, Allison?
A little less than 10 years. And one thing that's important to note, we did close transactions with 94 different realtors last year. So that means, and some of them I haven't seen in a year. Some of them I have never even met. They follow me on Instagram. They get on virtual workshops. They come to events, whatever. But the magic happens sometimes between one and many. Like, we have to master these skills. It's not like I showed up to a coffee meeting and all of a sudden was really, really good at it. I did it so many times. I've literally met with hundreds of realtors over the years. And that's really what it takes. And then slowly you find the people that you get really gritty with and you're hustling for each other and you're cheering each other on and doing those things. But it takes the events and the repetitive stuff and constantly showing up as a resource. The broadcast channel is great. I labeled it new, I think it's called News You Can Use or something like that. And
Yep.
the intention with when we opened it was realtors literally copy and paste anything I put in here. I do not care. And what's funny is sometimes I'll see something else. I'm like, I swear that's what I said. I'm like, oh yeah, that is what I said. I put it in the News You Can Use, and all of these people just copy and pasted it and shared it. The biggest thing agents are looking for as well is easy shareable content. They run out of content. They run out of things to talk about. So if you can just be the resource that gives them little tidbits of information, they want to pick up your phone calls. They want to hear what the market's doing. Also, call your realtors if you don't have anything to say and ask them for advice on something. Everyone feels good when someone asks them a question. What are you seeing in the market? Are you guys struggling? Are you guys doing good? What's working for you? And then collect a list of what's working for everyone. And then next week, hey, last week when I was doing that round of calls on what's working and what's not, here's all the things I came up with, thought I should share it with you. The only collaboration they get is in their office, like Shayla said. So if you're the connector, now instantly, if someone sees another realtor trying to do something, I'm the first phone call because they know I know everything about I'm everyone's phone call. If there's good news, bad news, gossip news, I got it all. And people know that I've probably talked to all of these people. Be that person for your realtor connections. The appraisal gap strategy video is on my YouTube. You'll see it in there under long videos.
Killer. So somebody had messaged me privately and asked about the coaching that I'm launching in July. By the way, Allison shows up to all of my sales calls, to my daily hustle. The reason that I've watched her blow up is because she literally is the best student. That's how she's able to pour value into others, is she's filling up her cup. The difference is she's probably more than most taking action with that stuff. She's going, ooh, I got that from here. Boom, how do I take action? For example, Allison, you were on a lift call yesterday, which is our branch manager coaching at Gill Mortgage. Our national VP of sales broke down the MBA forecast, which, by the way, changes every freaking month. Where do they think rates are going to go and how many loans are going to get closed? He shared this thing, and Allison had this gorgeous post yesterday about the mortgage forecast and what's going on. And I was like, damn, girl, you execute fast. Like, you heard something and thought, how can this help people? How can this help people? How can this help people? And, you've done the work to do your branding. You've done the work to have your people. You send it over and you get a post out. And so,
by the way, 49 people shared that post to their story. 5 people archived it. 59 people liked it, but over 2,000 accounts have viewed that post.
Wow. So
just the MBA.
This is why I'm starting coaching. Okay. This is specifically why. There's a lot of people who are driven. There's a lot of people who are hungry. You're all hungry. You're here. I got to acknowledge you for coming on a Wednesday and spending your time, especially those who were at the retreat last week. Here I am back at you going, we got more. But the difference is, do you take action? Who's holding you accountable? Who's saying, this is the tactic we're teaching this week, do it. And you come back and say, I did it. It was a little uncomfortable, but I did it. And it might've been a little messy, but I did it. And it might've been a little, but I did it, right? Allison, I, and so many other speakers and the people in my organization want to lead in this way. So I needed to create a container. I needed to create a program to allow people to do that. And it may not be weekly coaching forever, but I believe right now in this market, we need more positivity and more connectivity and more collaboration and more accountability than ever. The people that really buy into, I'm showing up every week. I'm showing up every week. I'm taking the action. I'm tuning my attitude. I'm being held accountable, are going to just take off. And you got to stop overthinking it. You just got to go for it. So there's a link here if you want to fill out the interest list. I don't even have a website yet for this Catalyst coaching. I don't even have a way to take your credit card yet. But fill that out and we can keep you posted on it. Allison, talk to us about the next 2 calls. Sarah asked, does this work in smaller markets? Are Zooms successful, or would YouTube be a better option? Let's answer that question and then kind of prep everybody for what's next.
So I do the events on Zoom and then I just upload them to YouTube. I'm 33 and I'm the worst technology person that has ever existed. Like when Shayla sets up these, I'm like, how do you do? I don't even know how you do it. How do I share my screen? I had to message Laura before we got on this call. So that's just how I do it. I'm sure there's probably a better way or more efficient way. I just record it and I just upload it after the fact. The Kelly asked about creating my own content. So you guys, really easy. I do not spend thousands of dollars on marketing. I do not have a videographer. I have none of those things. To me, if social media takes longer than 5 minutes and costs me any money, it's not worth it anymore, because that's the point of social media, is that it's free. That's how we're trying to get in front of people. So we have 4 or 5 fonts. Everything has the same 4 or 5 fonts in Canva, and we have 6 brand colors. We committed to these colors years ago. We stick to them. There's no confusion. I've made templates. We plug and play. Every purchase approved. You guys will see they all look the exact same. That's the brand. You just stick to these same exact things. And so, I'm not posting on my content. Jill posts it because I will overthink it and get insecure and not post the video that only 100 people are actually going to turn the sound on for anyways. So sometimes that's our biggest hurdle. Just create the templates and have it auto set up. Really easy places to follow for free templates and content. Agent Crate has a lender portion. I think it costs $39 a month. They make all the templates for you. Sarah Schultz, SARA space Schultz. She has a $29 or $39 course about how to create your brand. She's a past client of mine who's done a ton for us, and she is just an awesome Instagram follow. On her website, she has all these free resources for entrepreneurs. Literally go download them all. And then all of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh wow, my stuff looks exactly like Allison's, because that's literally all we've done. We have not tried to reinvent some big thing. We just pick a program and we stick to it. For the next stuff in the program, getting the business is just the first part of it. And I think a lot of people coach on how to give the client the best experience and do this and do this. And it costs $1 million and 17 gifty things that, how do we even know if it gets them all of that? We're going to focus on our process, but how we are really efficient with the process, cost effective, and how we really wow the realtor in that process for them to send us one deal and then go, holy crap, this is night and day difference than any lender I've ever worked with. I need all of my clients to work with Allison because she makes me look like I'm the best realtor in the entire world. Because that's really where we've had our magic. I know I just have to get the one deal and then we can keep working with them. And then after that, we're going to really focus on who does what on the team, how you grow it, how you scale it. And I actually think Shayla can help coach me at that point too, because we built it to this level. So I can talk a lot on how we get it to this level and how we've ran it with the efficiencies and delegating and training and all of that. And then I think there's levels and levels beyond that. So many times we're on these calls and you're listening from someone who has 19 staff members to close their 500. I'm like, well, yeah, I had 19 people. The hell I could probably figure that out too. That is not us. So you're going to get really like the raw roots of how we make it all happen.
Well, and I love to see your calendar, Allison, because, you know, you're talking about hosting events, you're talking about posting to social media, you're talking about growing and recruiting, you're talking about following up with agents. And if I'm sitting here going, how do I organize that into an execution plan? And you're really brilliant at that. So maybe we can address that on the second call. The other thing is just like, what does the path feel like for the agent, not just the client experience? Because what I'll tell you is that you do need to leverage technology. Allison is really good about having your stuff organized. And if you do the work up front to get organized, now taking that social media post and posting it, and you have 2,000 views and 40 shares is actually easy. It's doing the deep work that goes slowly. So I'm going to give you one homework assignment. Don't go running off to Lender Crate. Don't be doing the fancy shit. What you need to do is watch Allison's recording from the retreat last week on the 6 questions you need to ask every agent, and then how you do the close in an Allison way, how you make it feel comfortable and natural in follow-up. Because that, if you can't get natural and confident in your follow-up, and you can't have a good meeting of finding people you really like, then you're adding systems on a really weak foundation. So please, that's the one homework assignment from last week to this week, is to go watch the recording. Of course, we're going to send you our YouTube channel. We're going to send you the flip book. We're going to send you the appraisal gap strategy is on the YouTube channel. And we will put in there a reminder about Lender Crate. For the person who asked about Guild, this is exactly the tools that we're creating at Guild for more brand flexibility and Canva templates with our new Chief Marketing Officer, Adam, and having people like Allison join Guild brings that fresh energy. And this is why we collaborate as much as we do. So for those of you who already said that you wanted to join in the coaching experience, I will be bringing Allison into this a lot, along with my other superstars, because this is how we learn from each other. And we start implementing one thing at a time. It's not about where you are comparing to where Allison is. It is literally saying, how do I get 1% better today versus yesterday? How do I make that meeting 1% better? How do I have a little bit better call? How do I make it more natural? How do I show people I care? How do I get tightened down with a little bit more preparation? That's it. It's baby steps and tiny victories. And you're right where you should be. The fact that you showed up and spent time with us today, I have to acknowledge you, is a huge first step. Do the one homework assignment of watching that, writing your own 6 questions, and commit to us that you will at least have one meeting where you ask these 6 questions. You got to take action and start feeling different about who you are and your identity if you're going to scale up. Okay. So last thing, the Phil Jones event, we will give you that information. For those of you who weren't at the retreat, you won't have the cards. You probably have to go to Phil Jones' website and order them. And I'm okay to include you. You guys are part of the family. You're in here. That's how I treat everybody, is if you want to get coached, like, get your ass in here. Okay, so we'll put that in the follow-up too. Allison, crushed it on week 1. What do you guys think? Was that a 10 out of 10? Woohoo, look at that. Fire, fabulous, 20. Oh my gosh, so fun. Look what we're doing together, Allison. You put your hand up and said, I want to grow. I'm sick of stagnant. I'm sick of mediocrity. I've been here for 8 years. Let's do it. Look at this. Thank you all. Have a good day. Awesome. Go kick some ass.
Thank you.
See ya.